All right, welcome to Rooforia. I'm here with Jenny, and we are going to talk about positive mental attitude, I guess, PMA, positive thinking. So, a lot of people, I used to think that positive thinking was making everything happy, um, putting some kind of a good spin on everything, and to a degree that's fairly, they call it the silver linings playbook, so when something bad happens, instead of thinking, why me, thinking, well, what did I learn from this? What can I learn from this? And make it into a positive, make a positive out of a negative, right? She broke my heart, but now I know not to, ignore those red flags, right, that I noticed from the beginning. So that's the kind of thing that, it softens the blow and it helps you grow. It softens the blow and it helps you grow, right? So, now, I used to tell people a joke that I practice extreme positivity. And I don't think that that's so much of a joke. I do, for the most part. I try to keep negativity away from me. I'm always looking for, every problem has a solution. So I try to stay in the solution instead of staying in the problem. Now, when I say positive thinking, though, so let's really dig into that. When I say positive thinking, okay, so if you hear the terms positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement, when I first heard that, I thought positive reinforcement was like good job, and negative reinforcement was bad dog. That's not true, right? Positive reinforcement is when you add something. And negative reinforcement is when you take something away, right? So negative reinforcement would be if I took away Bo's bone because he did something bad, so I'm taking away a treat, right? Whereas positive reinforcement would be where I give him a treat, right? And and maybe pat him on the head or scratch his back when he does something right. So now, if we're thinking of positive thinking. Everybody lives on purpose, whether they know it or not. Subconsciously, you are living out an intention. Whether you intentionally set the intention or unintentionally set it, you are still setting it. We become what we think about. That is what manifestation is all about. When you'll talk about the law of attraction and the secret and all this stuff, and really all that is about thinking things into existence, speaking things into existence, right? We use language to create, to describe, to direct, right? And so we really do create things out of thin air and through our thoughts. This table did not exist till somebody thought that there needs to be a flat surface that's raised up just enough so that I could sit right here in another device that they came up with, which was a chair, right? This is all out of vapor. So positive thinking is I am thinking about what I want rather than what I don't want. So, and this is the example I always give because it's the easiest one to kind of, I guess, for me anyway, to imagine. So, imagine that you are coming to a stoplight. You just came around a corner and you notice there's a stoplight, and it is green. And it's green from the moment you put your eyes on it, and it's a little bit in the distance, so it's what's called a stale green light. You don't know if it's going to turn red, turn yellow anytime soon. So you're in a hurry, and you would like that light to stay green. So you do not want it to turn red. So in your mind, what thoughts do you have, Jenny?
Please stay green.
There you go. That's good. So instead of saying don't turn red, I'm saying please stay green, right? Because when I say don't stay red or stay green, I am entering a factor into the equation that the universe is computing, right? And it is hearing my requests. It doesn't hear positive or negative, plus or minus. It doesn't hear good or bad, yes or no. It just hears the variable, right? So it's going to add that variable into my life. So if I'm thinking green, then I'm manifesting a green light. So a lot of what most of our problems in life are a result of our imagination and our memory, right? Because we get stuck up in a lot of times time. We get stuck up in the good old days. How can I get things back how they used to be? And then we dwell on that kind of stuff because it was a great time in our life. Instead of being present in the moment and doing what we can to manifest that in the now, we are stuck on trying to recreate something that used to happen, or maybe we're stuck on something we did or somebody else did. We've got resentments, grudges, whatever it is that we have that's making us hold on to the past. So that's creating problems for us, right? Maybe it's a trust issue because somebody violated our trust, and so we're having a hard time trusting somebody else or that person, right? But it's because of stuff that happened in the past. So our memory is messing with us and causing us a lot of problems, right? And now our imagination, because we will sit here and say this guy Lance Chow. So I have hesitated and not called him because I called him before and talked to him and went through the whole thing, and so I am concerned. I'm worried about the result or about what's going to happen during the conversation. And this isn't even something big. I'm just grabbing it out of thin air. It's not a big deal or whatever. But it's a perfect example where instead of making a phone call, I'm worried about how he's going to how he's going to perceive it, how he's going to take it, how his reaction is going to be to us dropping the ball. So I have what's happened is now I've ended up putting it off and making even more problem because I didn't just go and tackle the problem, right? I remember I was going to go on this trip. I was in a program. This is some time ago. I was in a program, and I was supposed to go do some special thing, right, with a group. And then there was a complication that may have caused that to not happen. And I was upset about it. And it was just something that I was made aware of that could have caused the trip, the special trip, not to happen, and all I had to do was be proactive with it and continue on the course I was doing, and there was always the possibility that something could fall through. That's always going to be a factor, right? But now it was more concrete to me because someone had mentioned it, and now it's a hurdle that I had to jump. So I catastrophized it, right? And I played out a whole scenario of what would happen if this happened, and then this would happen, and this would happen, and this is how I'm going to feel, and you can't stop me from feeling this way because I want to be upset about it. And I had worked myself up to like an anxious frenzy over something that hadn't happened yet, and it didn't end up happening, by the way, right? So all of this stuff, and I was talking to a friend about it, and he was a good friend of mine, and he told me, hey, Greg, stop. Has any of that happened? I was like, no. He's like, okay, well, then just deal with it as it happens, right? So that was a way of saying stay present, stay in the now. So, a lot of times, knocking doors, get worried about how someone's going to take us or whatever. And the hardest door to get open is the car door, right? To get the courage to go up and knock. And once you start doing it, it's like, oh, this is fun. Once you you get to talking to somebody and, you get a deal signed or something, it's a fun time. But getting over that hump of what are they going to say or what's going to, this imagination of what's going to happen when we don't know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. We just got to be there and be present in it and live it, right? So anyway, as far as the positivity now. So if we think in terms of what we want, so now intention setting, right? Being intentional, right? Positive mental attitude. Living as if, and living with gratitude as if we've already got the outcome, because we do, right? In the grand scheme of things, we have this. So if I set a goal, so this summer, when spring comes around, right? You should set a goal. You should have your intention every day. Your intention should be at least if you really want to do a big year, you want to try and get a deal every day for the first month. Once spring comes up, you should just be out there knocking. You should be trying to get one deal every day. You get one person sign up every day. for a month. If half of those go through, so if you get one deal go through every day for a month, you're setting yourself up. If those all go through, you're setting yourself up for $1 million a year, right, in sales. You get half of that, I mean $500,000. That'd be a decent year, right? You'd make a lot of money. You'd make a good income off of that. So, but if you set the intention to get a contract every day, right, and then you have your intention set, and so therefore it's kind of like a value system. If your core value is to have integrity, but then another value is to be mysterious and secretive, those don't jive, right? Because, I mean, I'm not saying necessarily you can't have integrity and be mysterious, but you can't really be transparent. Okay, so if transparency is a value, then mystery is not a synergistic value, right? They clash, and so something's got to give between the two of them. When you set your intention, you've got to make the day revolve around that intention. Your intention is your goal, right? So you got to come up. Your intention is your objective. You've got to come up with goals to meet your objective, right? Then you got to come up with strategies to meet those goals, and then you got to come up with metrics, right? So you can measure your progress, right? It's an OGSM chart, right? And it's the same kind of thing. You set your intention, and this is how you manifest it into reality. But if you set your intention to sign a deal every day, and then everything else around that is kind of following up on other stuff or following on leads, but everything is basically designed around you getting a deal every day, right? And it's very powerful. So, but we need to go out there with the attitude as if we have already got that, right? It's pretty important. It's pretty powerful. And you know, one of my favorite quotes is, if you think you can or can't, you're right. I believe that was Henry Ford. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Right? So we limit ourselves so much. And even when we're aware that we're limiting ourselves, we still limit ourselves. It's a difficult thing to overcome. I know that I can't put this pen through my hand, right? But, I mean, this is out there, but I mean, really, I mean, is that really true? I mean, am I really just limiting myself because this is the belief system I have set up on the physics that I know or understand, right? Is it possible, in a way, in some kind of way, to push this through my hand? It might be, but I don't know, and I haven't investigated that, and my belief system says no, it's not, right? It also says that this table is hard, and I can't chop through it, right? Now that let's go with that. Like if I'm a martial artist, right? If I don't believe that I can chop through the wood, I'm not going to do it, right? But if I believe that I can, and what they do is they act as if they've already done it. When they do it, they expect their hand to go through that brick or whatever it is they're going through, and they follow through. They don't hit and like pull back when they hit because they know it's going to hurt. They go through as if there's nothing there, and they're going through it, and they live as if, and that's how they make that stuff happen. But anyway, so I just wanted to touch on that though. So positive thinking is not making everything hunky-dory. Positive thinking is thinking about what you want, not what you don't want, right? So let's start to think in those terms.